Welcome to the Fantasy Football Press Box with your hosts, Scott Fitzgerald and Sean Clemens.
Welcome in, fantasy gamers, to our first episode of the Fantasy Football Press Box, brought to you by Sudden Death Fantasy Sports, where champions cheat one round at a time. I'm your host, Scott Fitzgerald. That is my co-host, Sean Clemens. And we're back on air, and we have a big show for you guys today. So I want to let everybody know to please like and subscribe. Also, I want to thank everyone that has viewed our videos that we posted in the last couple weeks. We've got a lot of views, and we really enjoy you guys checking in with us. So let's get rolling. We got some news and notes. We've been back on.
Why not even get an introduction here, Scott? Are you just going to roll on out? You're not even going to tell anybody about me? I'm just going to sit here and
roll
just
right into the
be
news
silent.
notes. I'm going to roll into the news and notes. I'm going to hand it right to you. So anyways, yeah, we got the news and notes going. We're going to go over the elephant in the room, which is Jaden Daniels' injury. And I'm going to start off with Sean, my co-host. And Sean, what did you think about the Monday night game and what happened with Jaden Daniels?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Scotty, let's talk a little bit about the fact that we are back on air for the first time all season. We had our last pod that me and you have done together live. Was it all the way back in, what was it, second week of the preseason or something like that? We did not even get to a regular season game before we stopped doing our pods for that little break there. So I'm really, really excited, man. I cannot believe that we're back finally, waving a new banner, super excited about everything that's coming, working hard on a lot of great things for everybody moving into 2026. So, man, dude, I'm just so stoked to be here right now, brother. And I cannot believe that this is happening the way it is. I'm just so stoked right now. So if you want to roll into some talk, man, we can roll right into some talk. I know these guys have been just clamoring to hear our ridiculous reactions to all of the ridiculousness in the league so far. So let's get right on into it, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, let's start with the first game. The Commanders there.
Are we going to start with the trade deadline talk, buddy? We got to start with trades first, man. Trades always got to come first on trade deadline day.
I think it was such a terrible trade season this year. I mean, how gross are these trades? I mean, we got what, Jacoby Myers, Rashid Shaheed. I mean, there's no Breece Hall, nothing exciting, and that's really about it. I mean, you got Sauce Gardner, you got Quentin Williams. I mean, really nothing exciting happened, but I mean,
nothing exciting happened? Jacoby Myers getting a new home. I mean, come on, that guy. I know it's only the Jaguars with Trevor Mid-Lawrence, but I mean, to be honest with you, man, anything's better than Geno at this point, right? So you got to be happy for that kid to find a new home there. He can actually get utilized throughout the rest of the season, especially if you drafted him. And then you got Rashid Shaheed, man, going to the Seahawks. I mean, come on. You talk about a boost in fantasy relevance for a man. He's going into a situation, Cup. We don't know what's going on with his injury, if he's coming back or not yet. And, Shaheed is a take the top off kind of guy with a JSN running those crossing routes across the middle and all the kind of dirty work, per se, that JSN is so great at. A guy like Shaheed is just going to be like a godsend for that offense right now. So, I mean, those two moves alone make this deadline today worth every penny, in my opinion, and then you add in the two, first round moves, and Dallas being Dallas with their weird ass, let's trade away one of the best defenders in all of football to go ahead and turn around at the draft, the trade deadline when we're, what are they, like 2-6 right now or 3-5 or whatever the heck they are. And let's go ahead and just throw away all of our first round picks in the future because we really think this is a good year still. Like, I don't understand what's going on there. But the fact that it all happened like it did in just this last few hours of the day, I mean, come on, man, that was amazing.
Well, you're a little more excited than I am, but I mean, I look at the others.
I'm excited to be here, buddy. This is just helping.
Of course, we're real excited. But I look at the other side of the coin. I look at the Raiders. I think that's a huge boost for Trey Tucker. So I got a lot of shares of him. We got the Brockness monster back. And then as far as the Saints, I mean, it's just more targets for Chris Olave, even though they're a pretty bad team. I'm a big fan of Olave. I think that knocks down Torrey Horton a little bit on the Seattle side. I was a big fan of his, and it's going to just take target share away from him. He looked like he was going to be their deep threat and somebody
By
that
the way, kudos to the NFL for having the trade deadline prior to waiver time for this week. It's really nice of them so that we know that what's going to happen with these moves before we have to worry about how much foul we're spending on guys like a Torrey Horton.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, Torrey Horton should have already been rostered to begin with.
If you're on a good league, yeah, absolutely. That guy's been a sleeper for the whole season, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you think about Breece Hall not getting moved? I mean, I was like super disappointed he didn't get moved.
I mean, I was too. I felt for the guy. I mean, him and Garrett Wilson both, they just seem like they're wasting their talents right now. So I feel sad for those two dudes just being stuck in that offense. I feel sad for anybody who's on the Jets. I mean, let's be honest. But it's just one of those situations, man. I think they probably wanted more than they were going to get for him because of the fact that they basically took Jerry to town on the trade that they got going for Quinnen. I just think that they literally were like trying to shoot for the moon and weren't going to take anything less for Breece. And I think they just overplayed their hand. I bet you there was at least, from what I heard too, there was multiple teams, but I would assume that there was at least 5 or 6 contenders that I can think of off the top of my head that could use a good running back like that. So I'm sure they were all on the phone to the Jets. And from what I heard, one of the things that was told, because obviously being a Bills guy, Bills were in the market for a receiver, Jets are fire sailing, Garrett Wilson available, maybe yes, no. From what I understand, it was basically a hard no to everybody in the division from the Jets. No matter what, they weren't willing to move anybody within division. So that pretty much knocked us out of the running for anything as far as that. And I think that probably hurt their thought process when it came to getting Breece out the door too.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that Garrett Wilson wasn't going anywhere. I mean, they locked him up with long-term contracts. So, but running backs, they don't have a huge shelf life. So I could see, and the Jets aren't winning anytime soon. So I figured they could have got something for Breece Hall by moving on with him. And, they got Braylon Allen, they got Isaiah Davis. I mean, I don't really think they really had to keep Breece Hall. So I was a little disappointed that.
I don't think it's fair to the poor kid. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, that's just mean.
People are going to say that, he wanted to stay with the Jets. I mean, that's just
I'm pretty sure that I heard the opposite, that he wanted out. But
no, I heard he said, I mean, they're all going to say that they want to stay, so
of course,
but yeah, unfortunately he didn't get moved. So he's stuck with the Metropolitans for the foreseeable future, which is just going to continuously ruin his career. I've always said I think he's one of the best running backs in the league. So if he was just in a different situation. So
yeah, could you imagine if he was behind a good offensive line? Like the guy's an explosive player.
Well, just given the football. I mean, even if he's just given the football, like he did a few times in games with the Jets. I mean, you can see how explosive he is. He just has a different gear. He just looks like a quality running back, and he catch the ball and he can do everything. So it's just unfortunate, and it's because I have a lot of Breece Hall in Dynasty, and I really wanted him moved.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, he was the poor guy's gonna be stuck there wearing that green and white for the rest of the season. So at least maybe he'll have an opportunity to get out at the end of the year. We'll see. Yep,
yeah,
but that's where we're stuck now for poor dude.
Yeah, but anyways, like I said, I think it was a very underwhelming trade deadline, and it wasn't very exciting for me. So that's why I really want to talk about it too much, because it just sucks.
No, it's okay. Hey man, that's why we move on into the games, brother. We got games to talk about. That gives us something more fun to talk about than this trade. Because it was really a big deal for the defense more than it was for the offense. And we're a fantasy show, so what does that really make a difference for us, right?
Right.
But like you said, man, Jaden Daniels, brother. I mean, first and foremost, man, was that not one of the ugliest things you've seen on the field in a little while? I mean, it gave me like goosebumps looking at that, like kind of nasty shivers down your spine kind of thing. I'm glad it was a dislocated elbow. I mean, I shouldn't say only, but it could have been worse. It looked like. So they're saying there's potential chance he's coming back this year still, and I think that's stupid to rush him back. I would just at this point call the season what it is and then move forward with him and not put him out there at all unless he's super healthy and you still have a shot at the playoffs when that time comes. Otherwise, let him sit and just wait until next season. So, I mean, as far as that's concerned, I definitely think that's probably one of the bigger disappointments in the NFL this year, the Commanders in general, just the way that they've performed compared to last season. And then, all right, on the other side of the field, man, you had the exact opposite. One of the biggest surprises in the NFL this season, in my opinion, is the Seahawks and how Sam Darnold's looking out there right now. They kicked their ass 38-14. That was a pretty dominant victory if you watch that game. And Sam Darnold looked like the stud that we talked about him being on the Power Ranking show last week. So what do you feel about that, man? Do you think that Sam Darnold really is going to be the man for say the rest of his career and be one of the top 20 quarterbacks in the league and be consistently like I don't know, maybe like Kirk Cousins kind of had that run for a while? Do you think Darnold has that in him? Or do is he, as we like to say, Connor for real? Or is it just a smoke show? What do you think, man? Give me your honest opinion on the guy.
So first of all, I want to get into Jane Daniels a little bit. So I'm a big Dan Quinn fan. He's a player's coach, and what happened in that game was just a travesty. I mean, it's coaching 101. You're getting blown out, 7 minutes to go in the game. He shouldn't even be in the game. You got Mucus Mariota. Just bring him in, sit Daniels. And I know that these quarterbacks.
You talk mess about Mariota, but every time the kids come in, he's played well since he's been there.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's just a mop-up guy. So, anyways, I know the quarterbacks will talk to the coaches and say, "Look, I want to finish the game. It's my team, this and that." But you're a coach, and your job is on the line. Any decision making you make, your record, do you have the locker room or not? And you're the coach, and you have to tell this guy, "Look, you're coming out of the game. There'll be better days." You just came off an injury. So, just get him out of the game. I mean, Ghostbusters, Sam Darnold and JSN, they were just, throttling your defense. So you weren't coming back in the game. So it was just a huge blow, a terrible decision. And right when he came out, they kept panning the camera to Dan Quinn, and just the look on his face was just like, oh my God, what am I going to say in the press conference? What am I going to say to the owners? I mean, it was awful. You never want to see an injury like that, but he made the decision.
He looked like a dad who just dropped his baby on the escalator.
Yeah, so I mean, he made that decision to keep him in, and it's unfortunate. I think he's done for the year, and even if he was healthy enough to come back, the Commanders are going to be so far out of it anyways, it doesn't even matter. As far as Ghostbuster Sam Darnold, I mean, he did it in Minnesota. Maybe he learned something. Maybe he did learn a lot of things from being a backup, going from team to team. I think he learned a lot from Kyle Shanahan when he was in San Francisco. He did mention that that time was when he was in Frisco was some of the best learning that he's done in the NFL, and he soaked it in like a sponge. And he said, when I get another chance, I'm going to really take advantage of it. And Minnesota obviously helped a lot, and then coming over to Seattle. So yeah, do I think this could be long-term for Sam Darnold? I mean, he's got a number one bona fide wide receiver in JSN. So yeah, I think Sam Darnold is there to stay. And he was a great value this year in drafts, especially if you were able to pick him up. It's like, I mean, we're always going to talk super flex here at, Sudden Death Fantasy Sports. So anytime we talk about lineups or anything like that, our default is always super flex. So, if you were to land him as your second quarterback in super flex, and then pair him up with like, Pat Mahomes, J17, Jalen Hurts, I mean, you got a nice 1-2 punch. So yeah, I think that going forward, Sam Darnold's here to stay.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you on that one too, man. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week when we did power rankings, how that quarterback class has just looked better and better with him and Baker both kind of coming into their own as the last few years have gone on. So I'm really excited about that too, that combination. And I really do think they're a player in the NFC. I mean, you guys pay attention because power rankings are coming out tomorrow, and you'll see where they moved. I mean, I had them in my top 10 last week. Scott did not. So we'll see what happens with that moving into this coming week. But I definitely feel like there's going to be some movement for them. I'll just go ahead and say that. Yep. So moving into the next game, we have Panthers 16, Packers 13. The reason we're bringing these games up like this, guys, is because of the horrible injury situation that has gone on this year. And poor Tucker Kraft, man. Breakout season's going to end early for this poor guy. I thought he was coming into his own. And, I think he was going to become one of the top 5 guys going into next season in the fantasy leagues. I mean, maybe even top 3. You might have been putting him up there in that right under that tier of McBride and Bowers going into next season had this not happened. And I feel for him. He seems like a great dude, everything he does for the community and everything like that. I really felt like he was one of the good ones, and to see him go down is always just not a good thing to see. So I'm hurting on that. Beyond that, let's talk about the fact that not only did he go down, but the Packers going down to the Panthers. And I mean, geez Louise, are these Panthers real, or are the Packers that bad? Like where are we at here? Is it somewhere in the middle? I'm really kind of concerned about both these two teams, and for different reasons. Is one for real, or is one, for real because they're good, or is one for real because they're actually bad? We don't really know. So, Scotty, give me your thoughts, man. These two teams right here specifically are both kind of opposite direction thought processes going on. Where are you at with them?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a bad loss for the Packers. I mean, especially at home, where they're tough to beat. Going into Tucker Kraft, I mean, yeah, he was turning into Trey McBride 2.0. I mean, he looks just like him, run just like him. I mean, he was super excited to watch. And I actually really, really like those uniforms that the Packers were wearing. I love the helmets, the old school, like leather helmet look. So those are pretty cool. But
yeah, it's a lot better than their last throwback uniforms.
Yeah, the last throwback they wore against the Steelers, those were flat out terrible. So,
oh, gotta love it.
But yeah, so I think the Panthers are up and coming. I mean, they have a pretty stingy defense. They're coming together in the position, their positions, quarterback, running back, receiver. Now that looks like they found their RB1 in Rico Dowdle. But the thing with the Packers is, their defense is going to help carry them. They can run the ball, but Jordan Love is just, to me. I mean, I really liked him a lot last year and the year before, but I just don't think he's an elite quarterback. I just think he's more of a game manager. He kind of reminds me of Alex Smith in a way, just like check down Charlie, doesn't really throw the ball downfield very much, and just more of like a game manager. He's a better real life football player than a fantasy football player. I mean, he's just not going to get you that upside that you're looking for. So can he manage the Packers? Yeah, he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, but as far as fantasy, I don't think he's somebody I'm going to invest in the future. So was it a bad loss for the Packers? Of course it was, but this is the NFL and it's the National Fake You Out League, and anytime you think something's going to happen, that's automatic. It goes the other way. So we've seen bad teams beat good teams and good teams lose to bad teams, and so it's, like I said, it's the NFL. So but I'm sure they'll regroup the following week, and but yeah, these Panthers they're stingy, and they kind of play in a wide open division. I mean, the Bucs are there, but the Bucs are going to get challenged. So yeah, that's my take on that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. All your points, really, I'm kind of on board with it. I'm a little lower on the Packers in general than you are. It's because of a lot of the reasons you brought up, but I just don't think that they really are showing me what I think they need to show me in order to be considered one of that top tier in that NFC side. So, the Panthers, I think, are definitely working their way up. So you talk about a turnaround, right? Didn't they have one of the worst defenses in the league last year? And then now they're coming out here and they're taking down offenses that are supposed to be on top contending teams and holding them to under 20 points. So, things like that happening. And, obviously Rico Dowdle stepping up. Bryce Young has looked a lot better as he's progressed through these last couple seasons. So, yeah, I definitely think that and Tet, let's not forget about Tet. Tet looks like he's a stud guy. So I really think that was a solid pick for them. And it looks like that was a home run. So that's going to help them a lot moving forward also. So yeah, like you said, man, I think they're in the right division to make a little bit of noise. I don't know if they're quite there yet, but I do think they're on the cusp of being a team that could be really a scary team to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, don't forget that if you can run the football in the NFL, you're going to be in every game. You keep your defense off the field, you control the clock, and the Panthers are showing they can run the football now. So yeah, they're 5-4. I mean, we'll see what happens going forward, but I think it was a win first half for the Carolina Panthers. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I want to give a shout out to Jimmy Fairland in chat. Yes, we are back, and thanks for popping in there, Jimmy. Thanks for the support.
Thanks, Jimmy. All right, so let's move into our next game we're going to talk about because of another unfortunate injury. Thankfully, this one is not as bad as the other injuries we've discussed to this point. But Puka Nacua day-to-day with a rib issue. It sounds like he's going to be okay. Let's be honest, the guy's a tough guy. I doubt he's going to let this hold him out. If he gets held out for anything, it'll be maybe one game, and then I think he'll be back. I don't think that he's going to let something like this stop him from pursuing the type of season that they're having. So I like him to move forward as far as being okay. And, they destroyed the Saints, man, 34-10. So that's definitely a game that, wasn't really a fun one to watch, but it basically kind of solidified our thought processes about both teams that, the Saints are that bad and the Rams are that good. I think it's both. I don't think it's one or the other at this point. Poor Alvin Kamara didn't get moved at the trade deadline. I was really hoping he would for his sake, and nope, he's going to be stuck there. I mean, maybe he didn't want to go. He doesn't. He seems like the type who likes that area, would like staying in New Orleans, even if he's having a bad season. Maybe he just wants to be one of those one-team players, and finish out his career there, which is great if that's the case. I just would have liked to have seen him have a chance at a ring because I think he's the type of player that deserves that. So other than that, is there anything else you want to talk about in this game? I mean, obviously Devontae and Stafford are still looking strong. Is there anything specific you want to mention that maybe was a surprise for you, or was it basically exactly what you expected?
No, the Rams are for real. I mean, I think we all knew that they were in the beginning of the season. They're coached well. Most of their players all came back. The thing with Puka is he's such a violent player that he's always susceptible to injury, and the rib injury is not super concerning. They said he would have been able to come back into the game, but they were blowing him. It was a blowout game, so they just decided to hold him out. But yeah, that's the thing with Puka. He's out on the field and he's healthy. He's the best player on the field, but you have to take in consideration too how violent he is, and he draws contact. So there's always that chance of him getting banged up going forward. But thank God it wasn't anything more serious, and he should be back into the lineup next week.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm looking forward to keeping him in my fantasy lineup because the man is a beast. All right, so moving on to that, because we don't have any more injury situations to really discuss that's going to bring up a game for us right now. I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about the fact that the injury bug this year seems like it's biting a lot worse than normal. It feels like a bed bug infestation at this point. It's just hitting every week. We've lost so many fantasy stars. I'm not talking just like guys that, are easily replaceable. These guys have been carrying teams when they're available. Guys like Malik Neighbors. I mean, geez, that one hit me hard. Both of my high dollar leagues, I had Malik as one of my top guys, and that was basically done. So Scat going down a few weeks later was just brutal. I mean, we just saw Jaden, what happened with him. Burrow going out early in the year. Tyreek, Tucker, Omari and Hampton, James Conner. I could keep going. We just threw up some guys on here to kind of prove to you guys how many there are that have gotten hurt this year. And it just seems like, man, I don't, it's hard not to say that this short training camp and the way that the offseason is set up does not affect these types of situations. I mean, you got to look at the numbers at this point. You can't deny it that these guys are they're physically not able to have the time they need to prepare their bodies for the type of, physical violence that the season brings. And I have also noticed that the ones that seem to have the least amount of serious injuries, knock on wood, are the ones that have the better training facilities and the better wellness facilities and, all of those things like hyperbolic chambers and everything available for these players that they can possibly have to help them. And, a lot of them, like, I like to use the Bills, obviously, because I'm a giant Bills fan, but they did an entire huge, multi-million-dollar remodel of their facilities when it comes to that type of stuff. And their new stadium is going to be even better. And I'm telling you, man, we used to be one of the highest injured teams in the league until that they did that. And it seems to have helped. We have seemed to gone down and be now one of the least injured teams in the league, knock on wood. So, yeah, in my opinion, man, I think those two factors really need to be addressed because these poor guys do not deserve to lose, as much money, as much, time on the field. And honestly, man, I mean, it's emotionally painful for these guys to go through this over and over again. So it's just not something that they should have to deal with, in my opinion, if it can be avoided.
Yeah. I mean, another thing too, and I've done a lot of studying on this because, my daughter plays high school soccer and she, plays on turf, and she would always complain to me that, and she played turf all through club, all through high school, into college. And she would complain all the time at the end of the season, my dad, my hips are killing me, my knees are killing me. And I think the NFL, they're billionaires. They need to go universal grass, get rid of that awful turf. The players say, especially in MetLife, some of the worst playing surfaces. There's a reason why soccer's played on grass in Europe and not turf. More non-contact injuries happen on turf than grass. I mean, it's just proven. I mean, guys are out there, they make a cut, their turf or their cleat gets caught in stuck in the turf, and they go down, and there goes an ACL. Where at least grass, there's a little bit of give. Now, people are going to say, "Oh, well, Tucker Kraft was on grass." Well, he got rolled up on. I mean, that's different. I'm talking about a non-contact injury. You could even say Achilles. Achilles, the same thing. You know, at least grass, when you're pushing off, there's a little bit of give. Where that turf, there's not. So I know players like playing on grass a lot more than turf, and I would be not surprised that injuries would probably go down probably 25 to 30%, just if everybody was on the same playing surface and go with grass.
I agree with that 100%. And to me, I'm surprised that hasn't become a topic for a CBA discussion.
Well, it has, because the NFL Players Association, the union, has brought it up a bunch of times. And I know, like in Vegas and Arizona, they grow the grass out there, they bring it in and wheel it in. So you can do it in a dome. You know, it just it's going to cost a little bit more money, and it just comes down to you know, if the owners decide to do it or not. That's why when SoFi was made, I'm like, oh man, it's all you know, turf. I mean, are the Bills going to grass? I thought are they going to grass?
I'd have to look it up, to be honest. I don't want to say anything to be wrong. I would assume they are, but I don't know 100%. I'd have to Google that to make sure. But yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I would want them to. You know, I think they've been really, really conscious of that factor as far as that's concerned. They've made some changes on their turf multiple times over the last decades to kind of make sure that they try to find the best option they can. So right. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not going for exactly like you said and trying to figure a way to do a natural grass surface, because there's a lot of options too beyond just having a rollout field. I mean, you can do certain types of lighting, internal lighting and grow lighting, things like that to help your grass inside this dome. So you don't have to per se have your grass roll out the side of your dome if you don't want to, or if you're in a Minnesota or Green Bay or somewhere that has terrible weather, no matter whether it's inside or out. So, that would be something that I would definitely consider. But I'm going to look into it and find out, because that is something I'm curious to find out about now that you mention it too, because it's one of those things I've overlooked until you talked about it, and now it kind of triggered my memory. So I'm going to find out on that one, and we'll definitely bring that up again soon when we talk about the Bills more, because that's going to be a topic of conversation quite often on our podcast. Go Bills.
Welcome in B. Rons. Looks like B. Rons, welcome in. Thanks for supporting the show. Appreciate you. He says trade Ramondre or JCM for Kamara. So we do we'll answer a quick trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, let's see. I would say, I mean, I think that they like Ramondre. He's on a good offense right now, so it's really hard to just say like what I would like to say and just say, yeah, go ahead and do it. But if I was going to make that move, I don't think it would be horrible. I would be okay with it. I would probably take the Kamara side the most, just because I think maybe with moving Shaheed and things like that, that might open up a little more opportunity for Kamara. So I would probably go that route. If they kept him, they had to keep him for a reason. I hope that means they want to play him. So I wouldn't mind it.
I would keep Ramondre, but I would definitely trade JCM for Kamara. Because Ramondre, it's Mike Vrabel is so stubborn. He's going to keep running Ramondre out there as long as he's healthy. I mean, the guy can fumble. He could run like in quicksand, and he's going to keep running him out there. He's true to his veterans. So I don't believe in Bill Merritt, seventh round draft pick. I just think he's not good. So I don't like.
I agree with that.
I don't like him. I wouldn't invest in him. I mean, this is just obviously if this is redraft, yeah, you do it. If dynasty, you may want to keep them just to see what happens, but I'm not a believer.
All right, well, look at that. We gave you absolutely nothing to work with since we both disagreed on that one. So I guess you basically pick who you want to listen to. I love it. All right, man. Thanks for bringing up our first trade talk of the sudden death fantasy press box too.
Yeah, if you
That's
guys have
amazing.
any other
Thank you so
questions,
much.
trades or whatever, yeah, go ahead and throw them in. We'll squeeze them in for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're gonna be having trade segments as we move forward too on the show. Obviously, you guys know me and my trading aspects, so definitely want to have more trade talks whenever we can. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. We're gonna go on and move into some of the he went off games, guys. This is a segment that we like. We're gonna be calling he went off, and basically every week we're gonna talk about some players that specifically just had an amazing scenario happen. It's not always gonna be based on how many points they scored. It could be a little bit more of a situational thing. For example, James Cook being the first 100-yard rusher against the Chiefs, something like that. I think something needs to be, discussed, and it does help that he's got a charging buffalo on the side of his helmet. So let's talk a little Bills Chiefs, buddy. So this is one that I'm super excited to discuss. What did you think of the game? I want to hear your opinion before I go cray.
No, I think it was a great game. I mean, I'm glad the Bills won. I mean, they were due. The one thing about the Chiefs though is they still can't run the ball. I mean, and that's how you beat the Bills. You run the ball, and they could not do it. And the thing I noticed though too is they did get a lot more pressure up the middle on Mahomes, and that's how you're going to. Most quarterbacks, they don't like pressure in their face. They want to at least be able, if it comes from the side, they could step up. And the worst thing they want to see is pressure in their face. It looks like the Bills were in Mahomes' face, got him off his pedestal, and he was very, he was out of control at that point. I mean, he was very confused, and it showed. So the Bills, I think, played the perfect game. I mean, that's a game that you're going to have to repeat in the playoffs when the stakes are a little higher. So yeah, I think it was a great win for the Bills.
Well, thanks to this win, I do hope that if that does end up happening and we need to play them again in the playoffs, that it will now happen at Highmark Stadium, because they have now taken a pretty commanding lead as far as tie breaks and everything is concerned moving into the rest of the season. As in specifically regards to the Chiefs, not obviously the rest of the AFC, but them specifically, to be able to get ahead of Buffalo, it's going to take quite a bit. Maybe Buffalo would need to end up being the wild card, and the Chiefs have to win the division for that to end up being a situation that happens. I just don't foresee that, because I do think that no matter what's happened currently and the fact that New England is still ahead of Buffalo, I don't think it's going to stay that way. And I do think Buffalo takes that division again. So I'm really excited to see how things kind of move forward now that we have taken this victory. We talked about it on Power Rankings, man. I was so nervous about this game. I really needed the victory. I felt like, I think if the Bills lose this game, it pretty much just takes the wind out of our sails for the entire season, in my opinion. I think it would be very, very hard for the Bills to come back from a loss this week. So the fact that they did win this game, it almost felt like a playoff game for me as far as the way I looked at it. It was amazing. It was fun to watch. As you said, it needs to be the game plan with Mahomes' team. I'm hoping that the loss of Michael Hawk does not hurt too bad. I know I really wanted some moves to be made today before the deadline. That didn't happen. So I'm hoping that some of our defensive depth will step up and come forward. There's still a chance that Oliver comes back for the playoffs. So maybe if we do see them again, he'll be on the field. We don't know yet. But, for James Cook to be 100 yards against their run defense, which has notoriously kicked our butts, as far as that's concerned, I was really, really excited to see it. So I won't go too much on this one, because you guys know me. I can sit here and I can talk about this game forever. So I won't go crazy on it. But I do want to talk about how James Cook destroyed it. And, the Bills did look like the team that everybody thought they were when the season started. So I am happy to see it. The next one in the He Went Off segment is our good buddy Sam Laporta up there in Detroit. Vikings win the game 27-24, but the Lions, Sam Laporta did have the type of game that you want from him, where you drafted him as the fourth or fifth tight end off the board. So that was really awesome to see. Before we go crazy on talking about Sam, though, let's touch a little bit about the Vikings, because we do have to give them their kudos for kicking the Lions' butts, because even though it was a 27-24 game, to me, it felt like the Vikings were in control of that game for most of the game. There really wasn't a whole lot of fire underneath the Lions' butts. It felt like it seemed like they came in there thinking that they were going to get an easy victory, and the Vikings had other things on their mind. So tell me what you think, though. I know that's your hometown squad there. So give me your thought process on that one.
Well, the thought process is, when you don't give your best player the football, you tend to lose games. And, I don't understand why, Dan Campbell continuously goes out there and gives the ball to Plotter, David Montgomery, when you got a Ferrari and Jahmyr Gibbs in there, and you don't give him the football. So the guy, he was basically on a milk carton the whole game. And yeah, the Vikings were in total control the whole game. So, this even split that's going on from now on, this cannot happen. It has to be like a 70-30 split, Jahmyr Gibbs. And when he goes off in a game, 9 out of 10 times the Lions win the game. So it was nice to see Sam Laporta have a great game, because Goff does go to the tight end. But, you didn't give the ball to your best player. And I think, would it have been a different game? I think it would have, because I think the Lions would have controlled the ball a lot. There was too many, 3 and outs, and they were behind the chains when they hand the ball to Montgomery on first down. He gets 3 yards. Dan Campbell seems like he's another one of them stubborn coaches that just does not play his best players. And it was nice that we had J-Mo a little more involved. But for the Lions to win, you got to give it to your best player. And in my opinion, your best player is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that definitely had a huge factor in the way the game played out. And, even though Sam had a big game, I really think it was more out of necessity than it was out of game plan, because there really wasn't much else working for them. So they kind of leaned on what was. And, it worked out for him and for our fantasy teams that had Sam Laporta. He definitely saved me in a couple of leagues, specifically from elimination in the guillotine leagues. So I'm definitely happy to have him on my squad, especially because he has the mustache game rolling like a stud. So you can't ever hate on somebody who's got stash game like that. So yeah, I'm 100% with you though on that one. I think the Vikings saved their season with that victory and showed us that, hey, maybe they aren't as bad as we thought they were, right?
Yeah, and maybe JJ McCarthy's not as bad as everyone says he is. So
right. And who was it that said he was bad? There was somebody specifically talking bad about him. I can't remember who.
I made a trade for him. So I made a trade for him a while back.
Oh, I love it.
I'm feeling a little bit better now, a little more comfortable.
All right. Oh, I gotta love it. All right. Let's see what we got next up. We've got the Brockness Monster going off in a really good game. Surprisingly, Jaguars Raiders, Jags winning in overtime 30-29. And Brock himself with 12 catches for 127 yards, 1 carry for 6 yards sprinkled in there, and 3 TDs for a whopping total of 43.3 fantasy points. I mean, good Lord, man. Do you expect this to happen consistently now that Brock is put back and fully healthy? Do you think this was a one-off because of the Jags defense and not being able to just stop really anybody? What's your thoughts on Brockness Monster, my friend? Where do you think he's moving forward?
The Brockness the Monster cannot be stopped. I mean, he is just one of my favorite players. I mean, in the National Football League, I'm so happy he's back. I've heavily invested in him, and he just can't be stopped. And he made Geno Smith look like an all-pro. He's uncoverable. So it was just a tremendous game. Had him in DFS, which won me a lot of money because not a lot of people started him. So that was very nice. It's going forward. He's the number 1 target in that offense, and he's going to open up lanes now for Janty. I think Janty will start to have better games going forward, because you're going to have to account for him. So I wish he was there the whole year. Maybe the Raiders would be 500, or maybe they would have had a record like the Panthers at 5-4 or something like that. But just nice to have the Brockness Monster back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree 100%, man. All you people out there like myself and Scott who drafted a lot of Brock Bowers expecting the best and had been getting pretty much the exact opposite up till now are very, very happy and relieved that it's starting to happen at this point in the season and not waiting until after it's too late for us to make a comeback. So, a lot of those leagues, man, we're struggling, but the time has come. Don't think that you can count us out just yet, buddy. We still got time left to come back and make some noise in this league. I got to say hi to some people that just jumped in. We got our good buddy Cyborg. What's up, Cy? Good to see you, my friend. Always glad to have you here. I know we're starting early. We want to make sure that we catch the East Coasters after work, but you're always welcome to watch the show back later if you can't catch us live at all, my friend. But always good to have you. And we got a new guy, a new subscriber. Incognito TK. Incognito TK. I love that name, by the way. That's pretty awesome. And he does have a trade question for us. He's basically just asking us, do we trade Lamar for Saquon?
All right.
So
I want to ask
up,
quick, is this a one quarterback league or a super flex league? If you want to write in chat real quick, because that kind of might make my decision a little bit easier.
yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% on that one. It's if it was a one quarterback league, redraft league, I think I'd probably go ahead and move forward with that.
One
That
quarterback.
deal.
Okay, so one
Yeah, it says
quarterback.
one quarterback.
So, I mean, it's still a tough trade in my opinion. I mean, Lamar's just, an elite quarterback. But I mean, there's some other quarterbacks that you could pick up. I mean, Joe Flacco's been playing great. I mean, I don't know who your backup is, but
I was just gonna say if you got a good backup, let us know who it is because that'll make a
good
difference
backup,
also.
and you're really dying at running back. I mean, I would make the trade. I mean, Saquon's had just a rough year. But like I said, if you can upgrade to Bo Nix, Bo Nix is your backup. Yeah, go ahead and go ahead and run to the computer as fast as you can and hit accept.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. Yeah. If you've got Knicks, especially in like a redraft situation right now, because like Scott just said, I mean, Lamar could be the QB1 for the rest of the season, but I don't think Bo Nix is going to be far enough behind him. And Saquon, I do think will have a better season than moving forward than he's had to start the year too. So I think you're picking him up at the right time. And, if you're only losing maybe 5 to 7 points a week on average at most by taking that drop.
I would even if that trade was in your inbox, I mean, or if you're thinking of sending it, I don't think it would get done, but you never know. I mean, I would send Bo Nix for Saquon. I mean, and see if the guy might even take that. I mean,
either one, honestly. I mean, I don't think it's a bad trade for him for either of those quarterbacks to take that, especially if he had maybe Jaden was his top guy and Jaden's hurt now. Maybe I like Jaden and Joe. Something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Like the poor guy's probably stuck in quarterback purgatory or something. So I definitely think that either one of those quarterbacks, if I was in that boat and I needed the help, I would take one of them in a heartbeat for Saquon, depending on my running back depth and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. And what you also want to look at too is Lamar's through his bye and Bo Nix has not had his bye yet. So what I would do is I'd go look and find the Jaden Daniels owner, find the Joe Burrow owner, find those guys and see if you can unload Nix to them. And maybe they won't look at the bye weeks and say, hey, Nix has a bye week 12 and try to move on from Bo Nix that way. So I would look at all options, but you got two really good quarterbacks. And so, I would try to shop.
Good Nix problem first. To have.
Yeah. I would try to shop Nix first and try to keep Lamar. But like I said, if you can't get any buyers and it came down to Lamar and Saquon, I'd still pull the trigger.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. So thank you for that question. If you got any more, feel free to throw them in there. We'll hit them up as we move forward. So the next one that we're going to talk about before we move on, though, we got to mention Cam Little. The little big leg is what I'm going to call him. I don't know why, but for some reason I just like that nickname. So I'm going to call him the little big leg. And I mean, the kid making a 68-yard field goal. I mean, I don't even know if the man weighs 68 pounds. He is the tiniest, skinniest little guy. When he puts on like shoulder pads, it reminds me of that kid in Little Giants. I can't see what this thing on. Like that. That's what I'm thinking about when I see this kid. But then he goes out there and he just Legatrons the dang thing 68 yards through the posts. I'm like, holy Snikes, man! This kid's got a booming leg. So I'm just happy for it. I love seeing somebody like that, and it's always nice to see somebody take down a record from gosh, I don't even know why I'm blanking on his name because that's how much I like the guy. But the old Ravens kicker who shall not be named, Justin Tucker. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's definitely something that I was happy to see as his record go down. So good for you, Cam. Really happy for you, man. Little big leg moving forward. Best kicker in the league. Him and Brandon be fighting it out for a long time.
Awesome.
So next one up who on our He Went Off segment is Caleb Williams.
Yep. This was the game of the week, in my opinion. I mean, I know
man.
Fantasy wise.
110%, man. I mean, this game right here was, and it's just fun to watch this game too. I mean, this is a game I was focused on because I had a lot of players on both sides, so it was one of the games I pulled up out of my 4 block on the Sunday ticket, and it was the one that I spent a lot more time watching in the long run, just because the fact that it was so entertaining. And then Caleb, I mean, the kid goes off, dude. They win 47-42 on a miracle last-second touchdown pass to Loveland that was just like the guy breaking tackles and running through people. My dog loved it. That's how amazing it was. Billy, stop. So that and 53 yards rushing on top of that. Plus, he caught the ball twice for 22 yards, 4 total TDs, 3 passing, and 1 receiving. So 38.7 fantasy points. It's unbelievable what he did. Now, Caleb, let's do it more than 1 week at a time. How does that sound? You've got one of the best offensive minds. You've got great receivers. You've got good running backs behind you to help out. Stop playing around and start playing the way a first overall pick should. All right, I've said my piece, Scott. What do you got?
No, yeah, he's surrounded with some great weaponry. He's got an excellent offensive mind. I just think maybe he just does a little too much and not let the game come to him. I look at somebody like Drake May, who just without the weaponry that he has and without the coaching mind. I mean, Josh McDaniels is obviously a really good offensive coordinator, but I just think that the game seems a little more slowed down to Drake May than it does Caleb Williams. I think he just tries to do a little bit too much, and he just doesn't let the game come to him. So Cincinnati
misses so many open players because he does not throw the ball on time.
Yeah,
To me, it's like, dude, you're not, and it's not getting better. That's the thing that, like, hey, I know young quarterbacks a lot of times. Josh was that way when he first came into the league too. Would hold the ball for a long time because he didn't hold 100% trust himself to get it where it needs to be and be on time, and the guy will be there and so on and so forth. Caleb seems like he's got that same thing, but it's not getting better. Everybody else who progresses and moves forward, they get better at that as they go along. It's not happening for him. It feels like every time he's running around, and they brought it up. The announcers were bringing it up on the game the whole time. There was multiple plays where if he'd have just stayed with his read for a split second longer, the guy popped open, and he was skittish, and he won't do it. He won't sit there and just, like you said, let the game come to him to an extent. He wants to make everything be this big, massive run around, go crazy, and then do these off kilter throws. And yeah, they work, 30% of the time, but when you're doing that, like 70% of your snaps, that's not good. So I'm just saying that the kid needs to kind of do exactly what you said, and I don't know if I see it out of him or not yet. I'm still on the fence. I think both Jaden and Drake May are way ahead of where he is right now.
Yeah, but the one good thing we got out of this game was, every week that you can play against those defenses. So if you're thinking of start sit questions or start sit decisions, if you're going up against the Cincinnati Bengals or Chicago Bears, you jam those guys in your lineup.
Absolutely.
So, we got the citizens 6860 in the chat. Got a quick remark right there. He said, pop it up on here. So the Jets trade their decent young prospects and keep Brees, who can walk after this season. What a terrible GM they have. So my rebuttal of that citizen is the New York Jetropolitans are the worst run organization in the National Football League. So that's all we have to say. So yeah. Agree with you 100%. And but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Right. Nothing. We're just gonna have to sit back and wait for ROTY to sell the team or something, because it's not gonna change under his ownership.
Exactly. It's crazy. So what do we got next?
Hey, but I'm not complaining. That's one less division rival I got to worry about.
Yeah, no doubt. You get to play them twice here.
All right. So this is the slide that my girlfriend really enjoyed watching me put together. So he went off. CMC, 49ers 34, Giants 24. Christian McCaffrey having the season that we all thought he was going to have last year, and we took him 1 overall. What do you think, man? Other than the fact that the man obviously has more abs than both of us put together, do you think that he is actually somebody who's going to be, a stud all season? Do you think this is going to fade off? Do you think that team is going to fade off? What are your thoughts on the Niners?
Well, first of all, I'm kind of jealous, and I'm looking back, and I can say, God, when I met my wife 20 years ago, that's what I looked like. And now I'm just a blob. So, kind of jealous of that.
Hey, I looked like that too 20 years ago. Sorry, I guess it switched on me here.
Yeah, so
my water bottle got so excited by the picture, it decided to squirt all over the place at the same time. So we got a big mess going on over here.
Yeah, so I got CMC is one of my comeback of the year candidates, and we'll talk about that later in the show when we go through our awards, midseason awards. But yeah, it's all about health with him, and he's staying healthy, and maybe he's not like he was 4 or 5 years ago. He's a little older, but I mean, he's still putting up the nice stats, and like I said, it all comes down to health. So he's the engine that runs for that offense, and it's a perfect offense for there you go again. Or there you go, yeah.
It's because my mouth is wet. Telling you, my water just was like going crazy over here.
Oh, jeez. So, but yeah,
look at Zach talking about how we never had those abs. Zach, I appreciate you, my friend, and you are right, 100%. I never had those abs. Maybe a couple of rows, but not all 15 rows of abs like this gentleman has.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's the straw that stirs the drink over there in San Francisco, and as long as he's playing at a high level, they'll continue to win football games. So. So yeah, he's one of my comeback of the year candidates.
I agree 100%, man. The guy is having a great season, and I'm happy to see it because he is one of the players that I do like in the league. There's players that you like, there's players that you don't like. He's one of the ones that I think is just a cool player. So happy to see him do good. Next up, this is the tip of the cap. We're going to touch base a little bit on a couple of other games that happened. We had the Steelers beating the Colts, which I know that, it's a game that maybe we should do a little more than touch base on because, was the best record in the league losing to the Steelers. So, that was a thing, but we both kind of, at least I've always kind of thought that the Colts at some point were going to have a game like that. And it just happened this week. So I don't think it makes them any, worse than they were. I still think they're a good team, regardless of what some people think. And I don't think it makes the Steelers any better than they were. I still think they're about the same where I thought they were before. So the only reason I don't think we talk more about it is for that and the fact that there really wasn't a huge fantasy implication in that league, that game either. So anything you want to talk about real quick with the Colts Steelers game stands out to you?
No, just Pittsburgh's a tough place to play, and if the Colts were going to stumble, that was a game that I had on my radar where they could probably lose that game. I mean, they go outside of the dome. They're in a, ruckus environment. Mike Tomlin is always, has his teams up for the big games. So it didn't really surprise me that the Colts lost. I mean, they couldn't run the ball. That's basically what it came down to is, Mike Tomlin put together a good game plan. We're going to stop Jonathan Taylor. We're not going to let him run the ball. We're going to let Daniel Jones beat us. And he threw 3 interceptions.
Yep, that's exactly it. The other games that are listed here, Chargers beating Titans, everyone thought that was going to happen. Denver beating Texans, we thought that was going to happen. Granted, it didn't happen as easy as we thought it would, but it did end up happening. Ravens 28, Dolphins 6, everybody knew that was coming. Cardinals 27, Cowboys 17. Nobody really expected that to go crazy. I think the funny thing about that is that Jerry Jones just sat there, watched his team lose after making that other trade, and then turned around and still made another trade with a first-round pick right day after. So to me, it just is funny to see that happen. But there's really not much else to talk about with any of those games that was too crazy, other than just nice to see Lamar back. Really, there's not much else that's too crazy there.
Yeah, and one more quick thing. When you guys know it's waiver night, when you guys go to set waivers, do not drop Jacoby Brissett. He is going to be the starter.
It is already, he's already the starter for next week, guys. So do not get rid of the guy. If he's available on your waiver wires, which is crazy, go ahead and grab him. That's definitely a guy that you want to keep on your rosters moving forward because it sounds like he's going to be their starter for the foreseeable future, which is going to be interesting to see what happens with Kyler this offseason. So it's another topic we'll discuss later.
Another $250 million waste of money.
Right. So moving in, guys. So we are at week 9. We just completed week 9. We're getting ready to move into week 10. It's about that midway point of the season. And we really wanted to kind of give out some awards. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to my presenter's cap. And let's get going on the annual Middy Awards, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, these are the Middies. They are the mid-season awards presented by myself, Trader Clem, and Scott, run the hurry up, Fitzgerald. Welcome to the Middies. Scott, I mean, that just the trophy alone. Let's just speak on the trophy just for a quick second. I mean, how amazing is that trophy? If any of you have ever been stuck in the middle seat, you understand what it's like. So, I really think that this kind of just embraces the whole, thought process behind the Middies and what it really means to have a mid-season award. That means nothing. So I mean, do you have any thoughts on this amazing trophy? Because I know this is almost new to you. You only got a glimpse of the Middy because, it was still under construction earlier when you saw it. What do you think, Scott? Do you think the trophy kind of embraces what the Middies are all about?
I would make one change in that trophy, and this reminds me of an unbroken rule that when you go and sit on an airplane, that the person in the middle seat gets the armrests. That is the rule. The middle person gets the armrest. So if you ever get on a plane and somebody next to you is on your armrest, you tell him, this is my armrest. So the middle person always gets the armrest. That's the written rule. That's always seems like it's broken on an airplane. So if you're that middle guy, you demand both of those armrests.
That is so funny. So next time we'll definitely make sure to adjust our trophy for your armrest rule. But for now, this is our Middie trophy. This is the one that they're going to get until further notice. So we're going to start our Middies off. We're going to start with the MVP of the mid-season. So we've got some candidates, some nominees to go over with you real quick. Drake May has been nominated by Scott. Josh Allen, obviously nominated by yours truly. Daniel Jones was a co-nominee. We both picked Daniel Jones. Bo Nix was a nominee through Scott. JSN was a nominee by yours truly. And Jonathan Taylor was a co-nominee from both of us. So out of those players, the winner of the mid-season MVP is, drumroll please, Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
So what do you think, Scotty? Jonathan Taylor wins the Middie for MVP. Where do you stand on that? I think this was a consensus from both of us, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's just had a tremendous year. Multiple games with 3 touchdowns. He's he's finally healthy. I mean, we've had 2 years. People understand how devastating that ankle injury was that he had. It was very bad. He played on it one whole year when he was trying to negotiate his contract. He probably shouldn't even have been playing. It took another year to recover, but he's fully healthy. And I mean, he's just an ox and just a freight train. So love the guy. He deserves it. Like I said, he's had a couple rough years. So yeah, he's my midseason MVP. Usually this award goes to a quarterback, but I don't think there's anyone more valuable to their team right now than Jonathan Taylor, and it proved it over the weekend when they went into Pittsburgh and they could not run the ball, and everything depended on Daniel Jones, and he went back to Daniel Jones things. So it just shows you how valuable Jonathan Taylor is to the Indianapolis Colts.
I noticed that you didn't say your patented Daniel Jones line.
Sucks at football.
Is that are you gonna keep that line in your pocket until Daniel Jones does a little more to prove that he deserves that line again, or
well,
that'll always be
in the back pocket. That'll always be in the back.
All right, well, we're gonna keep an eye out for that then, because I know it's gonna come back out next time he has a bad game.
Yeah,
and I totally agree with you, man. Jonathan Taylor deserves every aspect of this trophy.
Yeah, you want to give a shout out to what is it?
Yeah, Ty Baudo. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Up?
Thanks for commenting and being here.
Yes, and don't forget, guys, please like and subscribe to the podcast. That really helps out a lot with us, and and we love the viewership, and we love the comments too. Like I said, anytime you guys get in here and have a question, no matter what we're talking about, we'll stop and we'll answer it. We're not going to wait till the end of the show. We'll hit you guys up right away. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Please do continue to comment, especially if you have trade questions. We love talking about those.
Or start sits.
Yeah, start sits too. Those are always fun.
I know it's kind of early, but still some people want to know right away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when we start up our Thursday shows, then the start sits will be a lot more common on that show for sure. So, all right. So Jonathan Taylor wins our Middie MVP. So good for you. The next category is going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year for the Middie. So it's Offensive Rookie of the Midseason, actually. So ORTM. And our nominees are Tyler Warren, who's a co-nominee. Both me and Scott brought Tyler Warren into the picture. Emeka Egbuka, that was Scott's nominee. I was close on him, but I figured, yeah, he's good to be in there too. So I will give him Scott's nominee, but he almost was a dual nominee. Cam Scattaboo, because even though he got hurt, this is a midseason award, and the man had a great early first of the season. So we're definitely throwing him in this mix. He was a Scott nominee. Tet McMillan, he's another guy who's had a great first half of the season, kind of under the radar. He was a co-nominee. And then Ashton Janty, who was also through Scott. And Ashton Janty is a guy who's also kind of under the radar, but he's been carrying that team as bad as they've been. So we threw him in there for that reason, because this isn't a team award. This is an individual award. And we thought he deserved to be mentioned in there. So without further ado, moving into the winner of the ORTM Offensive Rookie of the Mid-Season. Drum roll, please. Tyler Warren. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is another Colt. Can you believe it? Absolutely you can, because the man has been killing it this year. So, Scotty, give us your thoughts. Tyler Warren was a co-choice. Both of us did pick him as our winner. What do you think, Tyler Warren?
Well, this will be a recurring theme with the Colts. And Jimmy says you suck. And Tyler Warren right now sits third in the NFL, 118 fantasy points, just behind Jake Ferguson and Trey McBride. So, being a rookie up there, that's, tremendous. To me, I think he's definitely been the number 2 in that offense. I think Pittman's been the number 1 as far as, who you throw the ball to, but Tyler Warren's been right there. Hasn't had like a lot of super tremendous games, but he's only a rookie. So he's definitely involved in the offense, and he's helped the team get to that awesome record that they had. So he's a guy that I don't know if he'll ever get it to like Brock Bauer status or Trey McBride status. He might always fall right behind those guys, but in a position where it's very shallow, he's a guy that's going to really help your fantasy team, especially in Dynasty.
I mean, and I don't really fully agree with the fact that he can't reach that level. I do think he has it in him to become that top tier tight end. So, he's a rookie. I think he's still got a lot to grow and learn. He didn't come into the league as much of like prepared, I guess, for superstardom as Brock did. Brock came in, I think, just like super stud status, and Brock is a different beast than Tyler. But I do think Tyler has what it takes to get up into that. Let's say like George Kittle. Okay, we'll put him into that area.
Yeah, I could agree.
So, I still think Kittle's kind of that guy who's on the cusp. Sometimes he's in that tier with him. Sometimes he's right behind him. And he's kind of like, that dude right there. So that's kind of what I'm seeing out of Tyler too. So I do like him a lot. I think he deserves this award. And, you take that midi and you put it right up there on your trophy, and you keep that spot right next to it for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, because you keep moving forward this direction. I think that trophy has got a chance to be in your possession. So moving on to our next category. And our next category is Comeback Player of the Midseason, CPTM. And some nominees we had for that are Daniel Jones, co-nominee from both myself and Scott. CMC, co-nominee from both of us. Jonathan Taylor on this list as well. So you could get both MVP and Comeback Player of the Year. Potential there. And Patrick, he was also a co-nominee. And then Patrick Mahomes, nominated by Scott, who is also in here. And Scott has him as Comeback Player of the Year because he had such a down season last year. I kind of was on the fence with putting him in this list, but he's there anyways. And we definitely think that at least for worst case, he deserved a little bit of kudos for what he's done, because, they really have had a rough start to the season as far as their offensive skill players. Now that Rasheed's back and thing, you're starting to see, him become Patrick again. So I do like the fact that he's in here. So out of that list, moving in to the winner of the Comeback Player of the Mid-Season. Drum roll, please. Our winner is Daniel Jones. That's right, Scotty. Danny Jones running around with that midi under his arm with that giant grin on his face. Just really excited to have that Comeback Player of the Mid-Season award. Scott, this was a dual pick for us. I mean, this was pretty much unanimous. Like, both of us knew instantly that this was going to be the guy who won this award for what we were doing. Do you, other than the fact that we think he deserves this midi, do you think that he's going to be able to maintain and actually get to the point where he's going to be in that, full season comeback player, even MVP discussion?
I don't think so. I think he'll come back to earth a little bit more. He deserves the award for the first half of the season, because there's not a fantasy manager out there that saw this coming. And if you think you did, then I don't believe you. So he's done a tremendous job with that offense. Like I said, I think the offense does run through the running back position, but when he needed to throw the ball, he's, for the most part, except for the Pittsburgh game, he's been really good. So, he does have some rushing upside, which is good. He's always had that. He was making very good decisions with the football. So, and I think Shane Steichen, I think he's helped him out a lot too. So, I think that just being with the Giants was just a bad situation, and he went through offensive coordinator after offensive coordinators. So, Indiana Jones, he's our winner for comeback player of the year.
I agree 100%, and I think he deserves comeback player of the year. Brian Lloyd, 6924, what's up, my friend? He says this past week's was scary. He's got 2023 Danny Dimes vibes. He says, and I get that. I totally get that, and I agree 100%. It was very scary, and I'm worried about it. I've been waiting for that type of performance out of him all season, and it finally happened. And now it's, we all knew that this coming. We all knew this feeling was going to be here when we had one of these performances. We were just dreading it, but you knew it was going to be this way at some point. So now we just got to see how he responds, man. That's all we can do is just sit back and wait and hope that he comes back and plays strong. The difference between this Daniel Jones and the other Daniel Jones in New York is the team. This team is coached 10 times better. This team has a lot better players. This team is ready to actually go in with a better game plan every week. So I do think that Daniel Jones has the potential to continue the trend that he had started this year, more so than I've ever seen out of him before. Usually a game like this, and I'd be, there's the Daniel Jones we know, and the rest of the season is going to be pretty much that. This time, I don't feel that way. So I'm actually pretty happy to see that for him. We've talked a lot of mess on the show in the past about him. So I'm definitely glad to see somebody make me eat some crow, because in the bottom, even no matter what I say, I'm always rooting for somebody to be successful, period. So I'm happy to see that for the kid. Finally, moving into our last award. So this award here is going to be a little bit more of a fun award. We're going to give this award away to the team that's basically looks like the worst team in the NFL and potentially getting that first pick overall. And we're going to call this award the Duddy Award. And the Duddy Award is basically me in a giant poop emoji costume, painted in gold, ready to go on your trail, telling you that you are going to chase the first pick overall, and most likely we'll get there. And on the Duddy nomination list, we have the Jets. Obviously, we all know that, right?
Obviously.
We have the Browns, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Titans. So, out of our nominees, the winner of the prestigious, beautifully handsome Duddy Award is the Titans. Now, had we voted on this prior to today's trades, it might be a different team. I can honestly say I might have picked a different team had I known the trades that were going to be made today. But being said, I'm still going towards the Titans. Their coaching is a disaster. Everything about that team right now screams no more wins. So I am going with the Titans for the Duddy this year. Scott, do you still agree, or would you do the Jets now based on the trades?
Oh my God, that's tough. I mean,
Ryan does agree with us. He says the Titans are A and then two letters after that.
I don't know, man. Everyone knows my hatred to the Jetropolitans. At least the Titans have somewhat of a franchise quarterback. I'm gonna say this changes, and the Jets take over that spot at the end of the year.
I agree. I would actually give it to him now. I mean, as much as I hate the way the Titans look and everything, I think after these trades, I think the Jets are just going to be a horribly bad team for the rest of the season. I really do. I don't think that. I mean, they're both quarterbacks are basically the same. Tyrod and Justin, with the exception of the fact that I just think Tyrod is an awesome guy. So I'd much rather see Tyrod on the field because I love that dude in person. But, other than that, I don't think that either of them brings a lot more to the table than the other does. They're both pretty similar aspects Justin just a little better in the running aspect, but can't even get there right now because the O-line's so bad. So that makes no difference. I just think that team's going to fall apart now. Their defense was the only thing holding them together, and they literally just gave away like their two best players. So I just don't see it getting any better.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty bad teams, but like I said, in it, it's and they're all tanking for Arch Manning. So I mean, it
Which
depends.
I don't understand why right now. It's not like the kid looks like anything
No,
special at this point,
but I mean,
except for his last name on his jersey. I don't see much else that looks like promising.
but every organization is looking for that franchise quarterback. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. I mean, that could set you up for the next 10 to 12 years, or it could set you back the next 3 or 4
Right.
years. So,
I just hope whoever it is that ends up taking Manning doesn't end up getting Caleb Williams by the whole situation and watching a Drake May and a Jaden Daniels turn into much better prospects than Manning ever was after within 2 seasons we're at that point now with Caleb. So I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, we can go on and on with all the first overall picks that have tanked over the last few years. So you got to be careful, man, when it comes to that first overall pick. I don't know why it's so important to tank for it. Sometimes it just seems like it might be better to have that second or third pick. Let somebody else take that obvious guy,
Yeah.
So that being said, Brian agrees with us too, by the way. We talked about the Titans on there, Brian. So thank you so much for chiming in. Jimmy, he says the same thing, man. He says Kellen Moore knows how to tank, so he's obviously going with the Saints. So yeah, I think that it's pretty much both of those two teams. They're all like you said, all 5 or 6 of them that we mentioned, with the exception of an honorable mention. We didn't talk about our honorable mentions real quick. We just, for MVP, CMC was an honorable mention as well as Darnold. We both talked about Darnold and CMC and Hurts being in that conversation, and ultimately they didn't have quite as much as the other guys to be in that conversation for us, so we kept them on the honorable mention list. Jackson Dart was on there for the OPTM, the offensive player of the midseason, because he's played pretty well. The only reason that we didn't put him in that spot is because he didn't start the season and he missed a few games early in the year, and being a midseason award, that's a big chunk of that season, so it's hard to put him in there. And then Keenan Allen was also in there for comeback player of the year because he is having such a good year down there, but it's just not quite in the realm to be on the actual nominee list. And then Miami was right on the cusp of being in the Duddies. They were right on the cusp of being in the Duddies, but they just didn't quite get there, and we just figured that it wasn't worth adding them at this point because the other teams were just that bad. So that's pretty much where we ended up with everything. So that being said, I mean, that's going to be basically our awards, our middies. Those are our middies, ladies and gentlemen. For all you guys out there, if you're not familiar with us, this is the kind of goofy, kooky things that we like to do around here. So, feel free to tune in every Tuesday for some more of these crazy antics. And, we won't be doing an award every week, of course, but we'll definitely be having an award show at the end of the season that you guys will want to tune in for because it's going to be a blast. So, yeah. Scotty, you got anything you want to say before we roll out of the Duddies? Or, the middies, I'm sorry.
Well, before we roll out of the pod, we got one more question with Ants. It looks like Brian Lloyd says, would you rather have Danny Dimes or Caleb Williams the rest of the year? What do you think, Sean?
That's a tough one because it's that offensive situation that we just talked about, right? I think Caleb Williams has everything for him. And if he was just playing that much better, just a little bit better, it would be a no-brainer for me to go Caleb Williams. But, Danny Dimes has just been in an offense that is more consistent and proving to me that they are still going to be able to score against whatever defenses they're playing against, with the exception of last week, of course. So I would probably, I guess it would depend on my offense, my team, right? My roster. If I have a roster where I kind of need more of that, like shoot for the moon, like high upside, but maybe like disastrous floor, then I probably stick Caleb. If I have a team that I'm in the running or I'm in the top part of the league and I'm moving forward, I probably stick with Danny because I expect more consistency out of him, maybe just not as high of a top end.
Okay, so this isn't simple. It's it's definitely hard, but I'm going to look at the Bears defense. The Bears defense is not very good. So Caleb will probably be in quite a bit of shootouts going forward. He's got the running ability. So I would take Caleb rest of the year, just the fact that he's going to be in shootouts, he's going to be behind, which equals fantasy points. You're going to get that GTP, which is garbage time production, at the end of the game. You're going to be in shootouts. So I'm going to take Caleb the rest of the year, but it's really, really close. But, yeah, I'm going with the bad defense because the Bears are going to have to score points.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point to make. It really is. I mean, that's definitely something that you want to make sure to account for because, like Scott said, if they're in a shootout and he's going to have to throw the ball all the time, then that's going to put a different level on him. So it just depends on whether or not he can actually get the ball to the receivers. I mean, poor Rome. I don't know what happened to the guy over the last few weeks, but that has been disastrous. So yeah, hopefully that'll turn around and things will get better. It's he did great this week, and if he's going to be in that situation every week where he's going to have to shoot out like that, he's not always going to be against the Bengals defense. But, it's going to be a better opportunity for him to be getting those types of games.
Yeah. And like I said, most of our podcasts, we want to try to stay under an hour. I know this one's going to be a little bit longer because it's our first one. But you know what? We're here for you guys. And if you guys have questions, we're going to answer them. So we got another one coming in here from.
Yeah. Alex is saving 9-10. I love that. He says, hey, guys, he said his team for week 10, he's got Drake May, James Cook, Quinshon Judkins, JSN, and Buka McBride. He's got Rome on the and then on the bench, he's got JCM, Hendo, Caleb Williams, Jennings, Woody, Wandell. He's 6-3. He's in a 10-man PPR. Would you make any moves? I feel like he got a pretty solid team.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who's on your waivers.
Yeah.
But I would just looking at it. So you got those are your two starting running backs. You got JC.
I would worry a little bit about my running back depth.
Yeah, maybe the running back depth a little bit. He does have Woody, which I'm assuming that's Woody Marks.
That's what I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing too. So, I mean, I like Woody Marks better than JCM or Hendo moving forward. Hendo I like a lot. I just don't know why they're not playing him. It drives me insane. But, if you were to get play time, then he would definitely be my pick there as far as your top back on the bench. But maybe you can package a couple of those guys or take some of your wide receiver depth. You got Wandell there. You got Drake May and Caleb Williams. Maybe you could package one of those guys to somebody if somebody needs quarterbacks after all the injuries that have gone on, because you don't need to carry both of them if it's a one quarterback league. So I'm assuming it is. If I'm wrong, let me know. But based on what you're writing here, it looks like a one quarterback league. So I would probably go ahead and do it exactly like Scott said, and maybe try to get some of that depth going on in your running back room if you're going to have to make a move at all. Otherwise, I think you got a decent enough squad to roll with and see what happens.
Yeah, what I like to do and what I would suggest, and when you're getting close to the playoffs and you have a roster, it is 10-man, is I would take a lot. So when you get into the playoffs or getting close to the playoffs, you want to liquidate your bench and you want your starting lineup to be as profitable as possible as far as points. So you want to take any weight that you have on your bench that's good, and you want to package players together and go after like a top end guy. So, you would take somebody like maybe Jawan Jennings and, maybe Bill Merritt and put them together, or take Wandell and Bill Merritt, package them together and go get yourself a better, wide receiver. Or maybe upgrade, your running back or something like that. So you basically consolidate, and then because in the playoffs, you don't really need your bench that much. I mean, you're playing week to week, so you want as many points in your starting lineup as possible because it's life or death. You're playing, 1 week at a time. So you want to make sure you maximize your starting lineup, and that's what I like to do. Is I assess my bench, package guys together, and go and see if I could snag another player for my starting lineup.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean to completely decimate your bench and leave yourself with absolutely nobody. But in this situation, he's got some good depth at receiver. There's an opportunity there.
Yeah, make one good move.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, I like that analysis for Scott there. Thanks a lot for the question, Alex. We really appreciate that. Yes, Brian, you're right. There is a juicy matchup versus the Giants this week.
Yeah. So, but other than that, that wraps it up for the fantasy football press box. Definitely look for our Rock'em Sock'em's matchup that's going to go out tomorrow.
Yep, Rock'em Sock'em Power Rankings dropping tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's tomorrow morning. So definitely look out for that. Sean and I have some interesting 1 through 10s that we'll be debating about. So definitely look for that to launch tomorrow. We want to thank everyone for coming in and checking us out. And
if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Please do so now.
Definitely like and subscribe, and thank you all for coming in the chat. We love your questions. We love your following us here, and we're just going to try to give you guys the best product as possible. If you guys are new to our channel, we have an intro video on the products that we have moving forward with Sudden Death Fantasy Sports. Our website will be up and running in a month, along with our Discord.
At the end of the month, within a few weeks.
Yeah, within a few weeks. And then our games, we have some unique games, and you'll get that by watching the intro video. That'll give you a lot of information on what games we have to offer, and those will be launched sometime in 2026. So we're like Sean said earlier in the show, we're really excited. We're moving forward with our new brand, and we hope you guys are too. So we're all about the players too. We want to have a great fantasy football experience for you guys. So other than that, that's it for this week. What about you, Sean? Any last words before we go?
Nope. Go Bills.
Go Bills. All right, guys. All right. Until next time, folks, we are out. Thanks for tuning in.